Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is session number 2 of the academic writing course, and I am once again your course lecturer, Feridun TS Hussainzadeh. So this video is also going to cover chapter 1, which is all about background to writing. And the contents of this video are divided into 4 sections. 1, the features of academic writing. 2, some other common text features. 3, simple and complex sentences. And 4, writing in paragraphs. Section number 1, the features of academic writing. Let's start. So we should know the following things when we're talking about the features of academic writing. Academic writing format varies depending on school and department, which means that if you are, for example, a student at Cambridge University, you have to follow maybe a slightly different format rather than another person who is studying somewhere else. Okay? 2, follow teachers' guidelines or ask them what they want. This is something that many students forget. When you're, for example, studying somewhere, there's a big chance that each teacher has their own favorite format. Like they will give you even the font, the font size, and some other, let's say, formatting patterns that they have set for their, classes and for their students to follow. So it's good to follow what your teacher or what your professor wants. Number 3, some general features apply to most formats. So some of the formats that we talk about in this video and in this series overall will generally apply to all of them. Okay. So these are some terminologies that are used, some words that are used whenever you're talking about academic writing. The first one is title, then you have subtitle, heading, sentence is also a very common word, phrase, and paragraph. So what are they? Let's look at each separately. What is the title? The title is the highest level of the hierarchy. It is the main heading or name given to a piece of writing, typically placed at the top of the page or at the beginning of the text. So as you can see, we have written here the highest level of the hierarchy. If you have like a ranking, right? Something that is the name of it all, and then it becomes how do you say, smaller and smaller in also in significance, let's say, and in terms of being general, let's say, the more down it comes, let's say, or the lower it comes, it is going to become more specific. So the title itself is always going to be the highest. It is the main heading of the piece of writing that you have or your academic paper. After the title, we mostly have something else called a subtitle. Now, what is the subtitle? The subtitle is the second level of the hierarchy. It is a secondary heading that provides additional information about the content of the text, and it is usually placed below the main title. Some people also just say that the title is more general, while the subtitle is going to provide information about the focus of your paper. What is a heading? Now, the heading is the third level of the hierarchy. It is a subsection of a text that has its own title or its own name. It also helps the readers find the specific information they want and shows how it fits with the rest of the document. There can be more than one heading level in a text. For example, we have heading level number 1, heading level number 2, heading level number 3, meaning that heading level number 1 is a little bigger, heading level number 2 is inside heading level number 1. Okay, so, and there can be more than, let's say, even 5 to 10 headings in one paper. What is a sentence? Now, a sentence is a set of words that is complete in itself, typically containing a subject and predicate, conveying a statement, question, exclamation, or command, and it is going to have this one as well, consisting of a main clause. and of course sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. But a main clause is necessary. If you don't have a main clause inside, then that group of words cannot be called a sentence. And something to note is that the word sentence is from the Latin and it means to feel. What is a phrase? Now, a phrase is a group, again, or a pairing of words in English. A phrase can be short or long, but it does not include a subject verb pairing necessary to make a clause. As we all know, each clause in the English language, if you call a group of words, I mean a clause, they need to have at least one subject and one verb, hence the name subject verb pairing. But a phrase does not need that because it's not actually a clause and it's not a sentence. And a phrase will always be more than one word. If it is one word, then you just call it word. You don't need to call it a phrase. But if it becomes two or three or more than that, it can be called a phrase. And what is a paragraph? A paragraph is a short part of a text consisting of at least one sentence and beginning on a new line. It usually deals with a single event, description, idea, and etc. Some notable features of a paragraph include what? A unit of writing in a larger body of work. So this is something that we should know. It is a unit, it is a part, it is a section of writing or a text in a larger body of work. What do you mean a larger body of work? A larger body of work, we might be talking about an essay or an article, something like that. And it also expresses a particular topic or theme. So it is going to be talking about one single topic or one single theme, and it will not be, talking about many things. Okay, that's what a paragraph is all about, only one thing. And the third one, a subdivision, so we can call it that a paragraph is a subdivision of a written composition that consists of one or more sentences, deals with one point or gives the words of one speaker, and begins on a new, usually indented line. Now, why are we saying usually indented? Because in modern English, many people do not indent, they just bring in some spaces between the paragraphs, and that will also show that there's a new paragraph, indicates the start of a new paragraph. But if you want to be, what do you say, consistent with the old English, not the old, I mean old English, but the one that was very common in some years ago, you can have an indent at the beginning of each line of the paragraph, okay? Not each sentence, I mean there, just the first sentence is enough to be indented. Okay, continuing guys, section number 2, some other common text features. So some common text features that we have are in here, 4 of them, to be exact. First, we need to know this, references. So what is this? We need to have this reference to sources using citation. So we have to reference our sources. We have to mention where we got the information from, if it is not ours originally. So as you can see here, according to Tamara et al., 2009, that is inside parentheses 2009, that is our citation. It is called in-text citation. We also have the references section at the end of the paper where you have to mention there as well with more detail how you got the information from that source. Okay, tip 2, or let's say bullet point 2, the use of abbreviations to save space. This is a very common text feature. So abbreviations, right? Abbreviating longer words, such as here we have DNA. And of course, we all know that DNA actually stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, which is a very long name and it's a mouthful. So it is going to be very hard for some people to keep reading it every time. So it's good to just use, the abbreviation of it, DNA, and have the complete, let's say, word at the end or at the beginning of your paper in a section called the abbreviation list or the list of abbreviations. Okay, another common text feature is italics. Now, we use italics to show words from other languages, such as we have here, Tamara is the name of the book, I believe, and then we have etal, which is actually a Latin phrase meaning and others. And the last common text feature that we have here are called brackets. Now, what are they used for? Brackets are used to give subsidiary information or to clarify a point, meaning that, it is going to have the technique of, how do you say, like you have something in your text, right? You're writing something, but you just want to add additional information as well. You can use brackets to do that, and also to clarify one point which is not clear just from the words used in that sentence. An example that we have here is that, but others, and then inside parentheses we have written short chain fatty acids come from cheaper sources such as soya. Now, you might say, okay, where is the example? Well, the example, as you can see, is short chain fatty acids. That is the additional information that we have here. It is, let's say, it is clarifying the point of the word other. Now, when you say but others, people say, okay, what do you mean others? Then inside the parentheses, you have mentioned that, or inside the brackets, you have mentioned that. Section number 3, simple and complex sentences. So, simple and complex sentences are both very much needed in your academic writing. Let's focus on this. Look at this table, guys, and read the sentences below. Annual vehicle production from 2005 to 2009. So we have two sentences here, The first one says, in 2005, the company produced over 135,000 vehicles. While sentence number 2 says, between 2005 and 2006, vehicle production increased by 20%. Now, both of the sentences are correct depending on this, or let's say according to this little table that we have here. But our, let's say, target or our aim here is not to focus whether this information is correct or not, but to focus on how the sentences are structured. Both of these sentences are called simple sentences. Okay, they are called simple sentences. But if we continue and check the next slide, we can see some examples of complex sentences. And please be careful, I'm not talking about complex sentences as in terms of the four very common sentence structures that we have that include simple sentences, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. I'm not talking about that. Simple sentence and complex sentence in here just mean simple that are easier to understand and also easier to write, and complex meaning that they will be a little longer and they will have more information inside. So simple sentences are easier to write, as you can see here, and also it is much easier to read. But complex sentences are also needed in academic writing. However, students should make clarity a priority. This is something that many students don't, let's say, care about, or they just ignore. So students, especially those who want to be considered advanced, they just try to make their sentences as hard as possible. That should not be your goal, guys. That should not be the priority of your paper. The priority of your paper must be clarity. If your sentences are clear and understandable, that's enough, okay? But if you, for example, feel confident enough in your ability, then it's okay. You can write complex sentences as well. Okay. And avoid, so students should avoid writing very complex sentences until they feel confident in their ability. And complex sentences contain what? Conjunctions, relative pronouns, or punctuation, which link the clauses in different ways. We have two examples. In 2005, the company produced over 135,000 vehicles, but between 2005 and 2006, production increased by 20%. Very easy, not a big problem. And if we continue and check the other one, over 164,000 vehicles were produced in 2007. Then we have semicolon by 2009, this had fallen to 123,000. So as we can see in here, we have connected these two clauses using the conjunction but, and sorry guys, I believe I have forgotten to add a comma here. You can add a comma here as well. It will be very better. And in here we also have the connection or the connector of these two clauses, which is actually in the form of a punctuation. So this punctuation, semicolon, is actually doing all the work, which is really, really good. And section 4, the last section, writing in paragraphs. Questions. These are the 4 questions that we have to answer in this section. Number 1, what is a paragraph? 2, why are texts divided into paragraphs? What is the need for that? 3, how long are paragraphs? And 4, do paragraphs have a standard structure? So let's go over each separately. Number 1, what is a paragraph? Easy. A paragraph is a group of sentences that deal with a single topic. Okay, of course you can continue and give more detail, but this is the simplest definition that you can find. A paragraph is a group of sentences that deal with a single topic. Why are texts divided into paragraphs? So these 3 sentences, let's say, might be able to help us understand why we need to divide our text, such as essays and articles, into different paragraphs. Okay, reason 1. Texts are divided into paragraphs to organize ideas around a theme and to signal shifts in thinking. It is very, very good in this area, which just focuses on the idea organization. Okay, it is going to also make it very understandable to the other person. 2. Paragraphs also help readers to enjoy what has been written by breaking text up into easy to read sections. Once again, about the convenience of the other person we call the reader. So if the reader has a very, very long text with no break in between, they don't know what they are reading and what information to keep and what to, remove or what to focus on even sometimes. So if you divide your text into paragraphs, it will help, make your text more enjoyable to the person as well. And the third one, paragraphs are usually composed of a topic sentence that introduces the main idea and supporting sentences that develop and explain the idea. For this way, or through this format or pattern, it means that we can make our ideas in our text more understandable and more clear to the person. Question 3 that we had was, how long are paragraphs? Now, the length of paragraphs varies significantly according to text type, but should be no less than 4 or 5 sentences. Now, I know what you're thinking. In the beginning of the video, I said that one paragraph, one paragraph is even possible to have only 1 sentence. Now, that is correct. They are called 1-sentence paragraphs. And most of the time, in their own cases, in their own special cases, they do the trick, they do the work, so you don't need to write more. However, in here we're talking about normal academic paragraphs. And normal academic paragraphs, it is very much advised not to go less than 4 or 5 sentences, okay? And the last one, do paragraphs have a standard structure? Normally, they do. Normally they do, but not always, okay? The standard structure that you might say that, okay, so it doesn't have any structure, I can write whatever I want. No, it's not completely like that, but about the organization and of the sentences and the components. So which of the sentences come first, like that, okay? So normally, but not always, the first sentence introduces the topic, which is called the topic sentence. Sometimes it can also come at the end or even in the middle. Now be very careful of that, but nearly all the time it is going to be the first sentence. Other sentences may give definitions, examples, information, reasons, restatements, and summaries. As you can see, may give definitions, examples, information, reasons, all of them go into the family or to the part of supporting sentences, while the last sentence or sentences, let's say even, might do the conclusion part, which is the restatements and the summaries. So thank you all guys for watching this video. I hope you learned something. If you need more videos like this, just you can reach out and give me the topic that you need me to cover, and be in tune or stay tuned for the next videos as well. Good luck guys.